the older we get, the less likely we are to fall or to turn our backs or to depart to the swine. You know what I mean? To leave the Father's palace. And I think the reason why is because we become bored with Jesus.
Mm.
And so we start to experiment with intellectualism, with politics, with all these different isms, because surely Jesus is good, but he's not quite enough. Like we begin to add things to it. And so that's what happened to me. Like around 2018, I just got to a place where I just could not reconcile. Let me say that. I got to a place where I knew Jesus was good, but I felt like I needed or he needed the help of sociologists in order to make Christianity sufficient in our cultural milieu at that time.
Mm.
And the problem with only consuming sociology, and I'm not talking about Christian, I'm talking about like mainstream non-Christian sociologists and philosophers and thinking of the day. The problem is when you take on their information, you also take on their anger and their rage, and it subtly starts to consume you. Because I wasn't if I was praying and if I was studying the scriptures, it was usually just to win arguments or to teach or preach somewhere. It wasn't for my own soul. It was always for somebody else.
Mm.
And you have to be careful when the faith always becomes for somebody else. You know what I mean? And
Mm.
so I'm taking in information from the world, and these are good people though. These are not like I'm not talking about like satanic worshipers. I'm saying like these are good people who are fighting good causes. I'm
Yeah.
taking in their information, but they're speaking from a posture of rage, and I didn't know that I began to be consumed with that, and I began to love my wife less. I began to love my
Mm.
neighbor less. I began to speak with more anger. I became short, and before you know it, I'm doing things that I thought I would never do at
Mm.
age 40. Charles Spurgeon has this wonderful quote. He says that the scriptures, he says, no one outgrows the need or the necessity of scripture. It only widens and deepens with age.
Mm.
And I wish I would have understood that. I wish I would have said, you know what, no matter how old I am, I need to continually be. And I knew it philosophically, I knew it intellectually, but I didn't know it in my heart. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And so, yes, I strayed. I strayed away hard, and I kept it a secret. And then at some point, like a year and a half into it, I told myself, I said, I just can't live like this anymore.
Mm.
I can't. I have to return to the Father's palace.
Mm.
And I confessed my sins to my family and to my church. Went through a restoration period. It wasn't easy. It was humiliating. But what was even better about that period of time is was that, and here's to anybody listening, what was and I thank the Spirit of the Lord for allowing me the strength to do this, is to confess before I got caught.